It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
We're starting off the program today telling you about not one, but two potential world record fish caught recently here in our United States.
It's time to talk record fish.
The first record we'll tell you about was caught in Oklahoma on June 22nd. According to the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation, Grant Rader, a resident of Wichita, Kansas, was fishing at Keystone Lake in the Sooner State for the day when he snagged a 164-pound paddlefish. Paddlefish are these huge prehistoric fish, and they can be snagged in most states. It's perfectly legal to do so, and boy, oh boy, what a fish to hook into. Grant did get an assist on this catch. He was with Jeremiah Mefford with Real Good Time Guide Service, and ironically, he was also with the former paddlefish record holder, Corey Waters. And at 164 pounds, Rader's paddlefish not only breaks the Oklahoma state record, but is unofficially a world record fish as well. Another potential world record fish was caught in my home state of Washington. This time, the fish in question is a tiger trout, a sterile hybrid that's a cross between a brook trout and a brown trout. The long-standing world record tiger trout was caught on hook and line way back in 1978 by Peter Friedland out of Lake Michigan, a fish that weighed almost 21 pounds. The new Washington state record tiger trout and potential world record tiger, though, weighs a whopping 24.5 pounds. This tiger was caught by Kalen Peterson. He's from Spokane, Washington, and he was at a popular fishing destination about a 45-minute drive north of town called Loon Lake that's known for kokanee and lake trout. As a matter of fact, Loon Lake also gave up a previous state record lake trout, but this tiger trout is on track to be recognized not only as a new Washington state record, it's already been viewed by state biologists, but after he files the paperwork with the IGFA, he may well own that world record title too. Two world record fish caught in the space of 5 days this summer, absolutely incredible.
Congratulations on your new record.
This week on America Outdoors Radio, we're going to tell you about some great destinations offering the chance to catch really big bass. And we'll also introduce you to a Bassmaster Elite Series angler who just happens to be a guide at one of these destinations too. Our first stop will be Toledo Bend Lake. It's on the border of Louisiana and Texas. It was named the best bass lake in the nation twice over the last decade by Bassmaster, and Chip Davis, the executive director of Toledo Bend Lake Country, will tell you more about this great lake where you can catch lots of big bass. After that, we'll talk to Daryl Gleason. Now, Daryl is a former school teacher who fishes the Bassmaster Elite Series. He's also a guide and an educator at Toledo Bend Lake. What's he going to educate you on? Well, about being a better angler and using your marine electronics. Daryl will also tell you about how Yamaha Marine's Power Pay, an incentive program that pays Yamaha outboard motor owners some significant amounts of extra cash, really helped Daryl along the way financially in his early years, and how it can help you too as a tournament angler. From Toledo Bend, we'll head south of the border. We're going to talk to Billy Chapman, the owner of Anglers Inn International, and Mike Whitlow, a friend of mine who hosts trips at the 3 lodges that Anglers Inn International runs. One of them, well-known Lake El Salto, not too far from Mazatlan in Mexico. It is known for huge largemouth bass, and Billy Chapman will tell you the story about how this fishery came to be, and Mike will tell you a little bit about how the fishing is now and what a stay there at their lodge looks like. Speaking of stays at Mexico lodges, fishing for lots of big bass, you've got to hear about Lake Picachos. This is their new resort. And if you want to catch bass after bass after bass in the 3 to 5 pound range with some going bigger, this place is going to be for you. Mike Whitlow will tell you more about that too. And then we'll tell you about a place even further south to catch a different type of bass. We're talking peacock bass in Brazil. Yes, you can do that too on the Rio Negro, and Billy Chapman will tell you about what that trip with Anglers Inn International looks like too. Before we tell you about catching those peacock bass in Brazil, though, let's visit Toledo Bend Lake for largemouth bass and more. We've got Chip Davis on the line. He's the executive director for Toledo Bend Lake Country. And if you are looking for a big lake full of big bass, this reservoir on the border of Texas, Louisiana is definitely a place you need to hear about. Chip, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Toledo Bend Lake that has been named 2 years running in the last decade the best bass lake in America by Bassmaster Magazine.
Toledo Bend is an amazing natural wonder. It is 186,000 acres of water. To walk the shoreline that bridges the Texas-Louisiana border, it's 1,200 miles. So that begins to give your listeners a concept of just one of the features in Toledo Bend Lake Country. It is a beautiful, massive man-made lake that was created using just the common man, as they like to say, creating this amazing natural wonder, which is a kind of a fishing paradise. Not only lots of varieties of largemouth bass, but crappie and all manner of other species there. So fishing is a huge part of many things that we offer.
In terms of narrowing down where you're located, I guess if you draw a line between Shreveport, Louisiana, in Beaumont, Texas, and you get right on the border there, that's where this lake is, right in Sabine Parish, Louisiana. And when I was at your booth at the Bassmaster Classic Outdoors Expo, I couldn't help but notice the stringer of replica bass, really big bass. And these bass were originally caught by George Herr back in 2014. What's the story behind those bass?
Very interesting. Just under 50 pounds collectively done in less than an hour, 50 some odd minutes, and absolutely amazing. And talk about impact for anybody who loves to fish and loves the sport and the whole finding the right spot and so on. For George, it was an amazing day, obviously, and it's one wonderful way we love to talk about our lunker program on the lake. Lunkers in our world are over 10-pounders, and we've had years where we've had over 139, I think is the record year now. 139 lunkers caught in one calendar year. So it's just an amazing area because of the Toledo Bend Lake Association, which not only manages the lunker and the catch and release program. We have a program that's privately administered that essentially if you go and certify your weigh in, take your photo, take your measurements, and release the bass back in alive into the lake, and it's over 10 pounds, the Lake Association once a year awards these wonderful replicas to all of those folks. We also maintain a top 100 list of the top weights for the year. So on top of all the tournaments and all the recreational fishing, it's obviously an amazing thing that we like to talk about.
Let's talk about some of the other opportunities at Toledo Bend Lake. You touched on one of them, crappie fishing. Are there other species that people target too, or is it all about the bass?
It's not all about the bass, and it's all about a sort of a collective of not only history, but culture that is part of the area as well. We have culture that spans from the Choctaw Apache to the Spanish influence to tamales, which there are 13 original families in Zwolle, which is kind of mid-lake. So we have an amazing tamale festival every fall, to all manner of other things that we have to offer.
We are out of time, folks, but if you are looking for places to stay at this big reservoir and in Sabine Parish, you have plenty to choose from. That includes resorts with great golf courses, that includes RV parks, that includes marinas, that includes campgrounds, plenty of options, and the website to go to start planning your visit to Toledo Bend Lake is ToledoBendLakeCountry.com. That's ToledoBendLakeCountry.com. If you're after big bass and a little history and a whole bunch more, this is a great destination for you. Chip, thanks for taking the time to tell us about it today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms, American-made. There's over 200 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, accurate, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Campers, adventure seekers, hunters, and foodies. No matter the lifestyle, we can all agree on one thing. Great food and great people are worth remembering. At Camp Chef, we don't just make grills. We create each product knowing that a warm meal is always better when it's shared with those we love. Learn more about Camp Chef grills, smokers, and portable cooking equipment at campchef.com. That's campchef.com for a better way to cook outdoors.
Hunting and fishing are exercises in hope. Before you head into the woods, you hope to tag out on a deer you'll have to field dress. Before you make that first cast, you hope for a big fish to clean and fillet. When your hopes are realized, you'll need a sharp knife. Whether you sharpen that blade on a power sharpener in the shop or a manual sharpener in the field, WorkSharp has the tool for you. Look for WorkSharp products in sporting goods stores near you or online at WorkSharpTools.com.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers is the voice for your public lands, waters, and wildlife. From the Canadian Yukon to the Florida Everglades, we're stepping up to conserve North America's public lands, defend our hunting and fishing traditions, and expand public access to the outdoors. Our outdoor heritage depends on sportsmen and women like you speaking up for the natural resources that sustain our way of life. Find out how you can get involved at backcountryhunters.org and become a BHA member today.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we are talking to former Bassmaster Classic contender Daryl Gleason. He is also a pro staffer for Yamaha Pro Fishing and Yamaha Marine. Daryl, great to have you on the air.
Yeah, man, excited to be with you today.
So you've been really busy at the Outdoors Expo and the Yamaha booth. I know you wish you were fishing right now. How does it feel to be from the outside looking in?
Well, I've worked a lot of Bassmaster Classic Expos for sponsors, but this is the first one after having been a competitor. And I'll tell you, as a competitor, every pro I look at, we would rather be standing on our boats than standing on the carpet. But it's such a cool week. Like, to me, the Bassmaster Classic is all about the fans. You get a chance to be around the fans. So it's good to be out here to do this. It's the next best thing to fishing. So I'm grateful to be here representing Yamaha and all my other great sponsors.
So you're from Toledo Bend, and you actually do some guiding out there on Toledo Bend, I presume, for bass?
Yes, sir. Just bass, all freshwater, and I specialize in doing deep water fishing, electronics training, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I'll tell you what, folks. I couldn't consider a better opportunity than go on a guided trip with a person who's been in the Bassmaster Classic like Daryl. So I hate to do this. We weren't even going to talk about this, but I'm going to go there. What's your website if people want to book a guided bass trip with you?
You can find me on GleasonFishing.com, and you'll also see all the information there. I also do like an online class for electronics. We have a really good group, and it's a fun way to learn. A lot of us now like to learn from home on our own time, and so that was something I started a while back. I'm traveling doing the Elite Series, so I'm on the road so much now that that was just a cool way to reach even more people in my electronics classes, so it was a fun deal.
I want to talk a little bit about your career. I was lucky enough to have dinner with you the other night and got to meet your very charming wife, and you used to be a school teacher. And you basically had enough of that, and you decided to become a professional bass angler. What did your wife have to say about that?
Well, I'm blessed, and I would say most of the anglers that do this for a career, they have family, very similar stories. But I was blessed, and my wife just jumped on board. She knew it was a dream of mine to fish professionally eventually. And for me, my route was, teaching school and like probably many of your listeners, fishing on the weekends, fishing team trails, local team tournaments, local individual tournaments. And so as that dream become more of something I wanted to pursue, and I was kind of looking at teaching as this may not be something I want to do for 30 years. And so I made the transition over to becoming a fishing guide. And when I did that, I actually completed my master's degree in teaching and started my guide business at the same time. And my wife was kind of like, look, you got 1 year Let's see what you can do with this. And it was life changing for me because it's something I love, it's something I enjoyed, and it allowed me to make a better career for me and my family. So it was a blessed thing. I'm blessed that my wife was on board with that. I hate to know if it didn't go good that first year. I wonder how that would have went. But,
yeah, I'm pretty sure you'd be back in the classroom.
Yeah, and look, that was it was different for me. I was giving up a teaching career. It wasn't like I was giving up some corporate job, $200,000 a year or something. I could have went back and taught, and that's why I did finish my master's, because I wanted to make sure I had a solid backup idea if I needed it.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, as a guide and as a person who's teaching people how to use electronics, you're still teaching. I would just say that maybe you're teaching a subject you love as opposed to a subject you had to teach.
Yeah, absolutely. And change come for me when I'm 39 years old now, and I'm on the Elite Series. That change come for me around 31, 32. And it was just at a point in my life where I could tell I wasn't as happy. I wasn't enjoying the teaching as much. And it just kind of, on a personal level, renewed my passion for fishing. And that's what I'm going through now that I'm on the Elite Series and got to fish the Bassmaster Classic last year. Same deal. Like, I'm so passionate about fishing that I love sharing that with people and trying to help people get better on the water. That's what we all want to do, is be better fishermen. So I love it.
Getting back to the Classic, I mean, you are in the Elite Series. You've been doing pretty well. Are you going to be at the Classic next year?
Well, we still have 2 events to go. Right now, as far as the points go, it's not looking real good for me this year. This is my first year out there, so I've had a little learning curve. But I do still have 2 Bassmaster Opens as well. And in the Bassmaster Opens, you win and you're in. So I can promise you I will do everything within my power to be fishing next year. Now, if I'm not, you'll see me at the expo. We'll get to visit. We'll probably do another interview, and I'll be happy as can be. But, man, as a competitor, the Bassmaster Classic is a special event to be a part of.
Oh, absolutely it is. Let's talk about something that has really helped you in your career in terms of, from a financial point of view, because you got to make your money, and one way to do it is to win, but another way to do it is to align with certain companies. You buy their products, and some of them have incentive programs, and one of those is Yamaha Pro Fishing, Yamaha Marine. They've got something called Power Pay. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, so the Power Pay program was actually come to fruition last year, and I was actually the lucky angler that got to win the first Power Pay check. So it's a real cool deal, and just to give you the quick, easy way of what Power Pay is, it's an owner's contingency program. If you own a motor, a Yamaha engine, 5 years or newer, you can register for free. You get a cool hat and a shirt and all those kind of goodies too. And then as you compete in sanctioned trails, if you're the highest finisher in the Yamaha Power Pay program, you can win the money.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about that for a second. Yeah. Most incentive programs, you have to win.
Correct.
So this one, you don't have to win.
Yeah, that's what makes it special. You have to be the highest finisher in the Yamaha Power Pay program. So for me, like especially those of us doing this professionally, you get signed up early to make sure you can maximize as much money as you can. And as the program grows, we're seeing the list of trails grow and all that stuff that they're covering. So, all your listeners out there, if you're fishing, regional level, even some of the team tournaments are starting to be covered. But you can check all that out on the website at YamahaPowerPay.com. You can see the sanctioned trails, but it's super easy to register for. I encourage every angler, even if there's not a trail you're fishing that is available for you or whatever yet, it could be at some time. So if you have a qualifying engine, sign up. You're going to get a cool hat, cool shirt, and you could possibly win some money. Like, I'm living proof of that. It's great to win extra money, man.
Well, and not only did you do it once, you've done it more than once.
Yeah, I was blessed last year. I actually won the first 2. Now, this year's been a little different because that's how fishing is, the highs and the lows. This year, there's so many anglers now signed up for it that everyone else is getting a taste of the pie. But it's a really cool program, and it's one of those things to me Yamaha didn't have to do. It's a way of them to give back to their owners for their loyal support. So it was a cool program, and it's always cool, to win a little extra money. Who doesn't like that?
Oh, everybody does. And a lot of folks really like Yamaha motors, too. They got a great reputation. And you're seeing them on a lot of the bass boats of the pros out here. There's a reason for that. They wouldn't have those motors on there if they weren't top-performing outboards. So, again, check out the Power Pay program at YamahaOutboards.com. And if you ever find yourself over by Toledo Bend on the border of Texas, Louisiana, wanting to get in some great bass fishing and really want to learn how to do it on this big lake, go to GleasonFishing.com and book a trip with Daryl Gleason. He'll take you out. I have a feeling you're going to learn a whole lot when he does. Daryl, thanks so much for being here today on America Outdoors Radio.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you and all your listeners listening. We sure appreciate you guys supporting us and following us, as we all chase this crazy dream of fishing. So thank you guys very much.
Planning a day at the range or plinking targets with your friends? Or maybe you're looking to do some small game hunting with a rimfire rifle. Either way, they're going to be impressed when you show up with a Henry Golden Boy lever action rifle. This beauty has a brass light finish, a wooden stock and grip, and a blued 20-inch octagon barrel that makes this rifle handle great, and it is accurate too, especially for offhand shooting. Want to up your Golden Boy rifle game? You can order a deluxe engraved edition or one with a personalized inscription. Better still, the Golden Boy looks good not only in your hands, but on the wall at home too, and like every rifle manufactured by Henry Repeating Arms, this has a lifetime guarantee. Find out more about the world-famous Golden Boy rifle and order a free catalog too at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com for Henry Repeating Arms, made in America, and a proud sponsor of America Outdoors Radio.
The Dalles in Oregon is your base camp for fishing fun. Reel in big salmon, tangle with steelhead, bass, and walleye, or wrestle a monster sturgeon to the boat. After the day is done, you'll find a variety of lodging options around town. Need to resupply? We've got you covered with sporting goods stores plus great dining, breweries, wineries, and can't-miss attractions like the Gorge Discovery Center. Plan your fishing getaway today at explorethedalles.com. That's explorethedalles.com.
Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com. You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We continue to broadcast from the Outdoors Expo at the Bassmaster Classic in Fort Worth, Texas. And I ran across an old friend and somebody I've been wanting to meet for a long time. They're both associated with Anglers Inn International, offering some fantastic fishing trips south of the border. The people I'm talking about, my old friend Mike Whitlow, and the person I've wanted to meet, Billy Chapman. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Well, Billy, I want to start off with you. Mike and I have talked about your lodges several times over the years because I love bass fishing, and you offer some of the best bass fishing literally in the world south of the border in Mexico. You also offer some great fishing in Brazil. But let's talk about you, the founder of Anglers Inn International. What's your background, Billy?
Well, I was a drywall guy, to be honest with you, a ninth grade dropout, and I just became a guide on Lake Bacharach 42 years ago. And me and my father stocked Florida strain bass. We were the first to bring Florida strain bass to Mexico, and they just exploded, John. So I've been on 6 lakes over 42 years. I built my Mexico guide business up, and I was always on the lake first, and I was a big part of putting the fish in the lakes, and that's a whole nother story, how we got them in there and bought them out of Houston and flew them down in private plane, but they just exploded, So a lot of people don't realize that, Lake El Salto is 100% pure Florida strain, where a lot of your Mexican lakes that have the native bass, which maxes out at like 7 pounds. That's a big native, but the Florida's just got, our lake record on Lake El Salto is 18.8.
Oh my gosh.
Caught on a black and blue power worm. So after I kicked off Mexico, I read a story in Outdoor Life, and I was 23 years old, and I wanted to be an exotic guide, and nobody was doing peacock bass. So in 1980, 40-some years ago, I went to Brazil, learned the language, and jumped into the jungle and got an article in the Dallas Morning News and the Houston Post and the Houston Chronicle, and I was on the cover of magazines. My phone started ringing off the wall, and people wanted to go catch a peacock. And I went,
Well, I can understand why. They're beautiful fish, they're big fish, they're fearsome fish.
So I've been at it for 42 years in the Amazon, and 42 years in Mexico. So our specialty is Mexico and Brazil. And that's what we do in a way that, you know, we have an Amazon Tough bag that we send you down. Well, we got earplugs and all the liquids and all the creams and everything. You just got to show up in Miami, and me and Mike will get you down there and host you and take care of you, and all the rods and reels. We got the best sponsors. We got brand new St. Croix rods down there every season. We have brand new Abu reels for you. The Beast, that was actually designed for peacock bass with Abu. So, yeah, we got a great business. We got a great client base that follow us. And year after year, some guys have, 5 or 6 trips to the Amazons. The bad thing about the Amazons, you think you're going to go once, John? Well, guess what? You're not.
I love this. The way you're talking the early days, you sound like the Indiana Jones of fishing here. But the lodge experiences you have now kind of hinted at this. Not only do you have great gear, these are really comfortable places to stay with really good food, and everything's taken care of.
Well, I'm really proud. I did one thing in the Amazons in 1982, John. I was the first gringo, American, to give you a banana split in the jungle. So basically, John, I tell you what, when I made it, it was looking good, but with the humidity and the heat, it turned into a milkshake by the time you got it, okay, John? It was a milkshake, but it was a damn good milkshake. So that's part of my fame, and I did kick off the Amazons. I did put peacock bass on the map, and after 200 articles on New York Times, LA Times, Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, I've hosted every major player in the Amazons over 42 years. A lot of them have passed, because I was 23 and they were 43, right?
Right.
So, I've had the floating suite operation. I built 2 lodges. Now I have a mothership. At our mothership, I dare anybody to compare our Amazon operation to anybody, because we got a 114-foot yacht. You're eating T-bones and ribeyes, and of course I maintain the banana split, you know what I mean? So.
I love this. You were listening to America Outdoors Radio. We've been talking to Billy Chapman, the founder of Anglers Inn International, about peacock bass fishing in Brazil and the founding of several great bass fishing opportunities in Mexico, especially Lake El Salto. As a matter of fact, Billy, what was it exactly that Kevin Van Dam said about Lake El Salto?
On stage at the Bassmaster Classic, they said, Kevin, you fish all over the world, and you know where the big fish live. Where's your favorite fishing hole? And on stage, he said, Anglers Inn, Lake El Salto. I got a 52-pound bag of fish, and I highly recommend going.
That is amazing, especially since we're seeing so many of these Bassmaster Classic anglers here at Lake Ray Roberts coming in with basically, a daily bag of 15 pounds. We're talking 5 3-pounders here. To talk about 52 pounds. As a matter of fact, the day one leader was 23 pounds. To more than double that in one day at Lake El Salto, absolutely amazing, Billy. Mike, let's turn to you, and let's talk about what these trips look like. But before we talk about Lake El Salto, before we talk about any more about the Amazon and peacock bass, there's another lodge, a newer lodge, that you've got in Mexico, too.
Yes, we've got one of the newest and hottest lakes in the world called Lake Pacachos, and man, it is coming on strong. We've got anglers catching 200. I think, what's the record, Billy? 300 and some odd fish in a day on a fly rod. Wow. I mean, this lake is crazy, and the 3 to 5 pound fish in this, and they're getting bigger and bigger each year. The numbers are just flat amazing. I think the lake record is a little over 12 pounds now, and so these fish are getting bigger and bigger. There's a lot of 8s and 9s, and you know what? El Salto may have a run for its money, but we're going to have 2 of the best lakes in the world, lodges on them, side by side.
Well, not only that, you offer not just trips to Pacachos and El Salto, but you can do a combo trip. You can go to both, can't you?
Absolutely. One thing that we really want you to do is think about fishing at both of our lodges. We're going to pick you up at the airport in a private van. We're going to whisk you up there for 3 nights, 2.5 days of fishing at Pacachos. You're going to wear your arms out catching a ton of really nice, solid fish. Then we're going to transfer you to famous Lake El Salto, get you over there, 3 nights, 2.5 days on this combo trip, and that's where you go after the grandes.
Now, Billy, I know some of the anglers over the years that have brought their wives and maybe want to do some fishing but don't want to be fishing all the time. Do you have something for them?
We do. My biggest question, John, in the Amazon is, can I bring my wife? Yes. The answer is you got air conditioning, you got private rooms, you got a 114-foot yacht that looks like it should be in Miami. But, when I'm talking to a client, he said, well, what about the mosquitoes? I say, John, If you kill a mosquito on your arm and it's still wet, I'll reimburse your entire check for the trip because you're not going to see a mosquito on the Rio Negro. So if you don't have the mosquitoes, and this is very good information for people that think they're going to get eaten or get malaria, if you don't have mosquitoes, which the Rio Negro creates so much acid, they can't breed. So without the mosquitoes, you can't have malaria and dengue and all the stuff that mosquitoes bring to the world, right? So that really makes people feel comfortable, and they really become a believer when I say, show me a dead mosquito wet, I'll write you a check for $8,000.
And Mike, I understand that wives coming to Lake El Salto or Lake Picachos. Mazatlan's not too far away. Day trips available there?
Day trips are available out of Mazatlan. We'll pick you up in vans and whisk you right up to whichever lake you prefer, and we'll take care of you and bring the ladies along. I mean, it's a great trip.
What's the website where folks can find out more and book a trip? I know you are very busy in this post-COVID era.
Well, you want to give us a call at 1-800-GOT-A-FISH and hook up with Mike Whitlow as well on Facebook, right? AnglersIn.com will have all the information. And then if you want to join Mike Whitlow on his hosted trips, which is awesome and a good way to get started. And the problem is, you think you're going to go once? We have people with 5 trips, 10 trips, 20 trips, up to 30 trips. We've been fishing Mexico for 42 years. Bring the wives. My best tip to you is bring some Band-Aids and flex tape and get ready to have your belly black and blue.
All right, folks, and I've got to add here at the very end, Mike, Billy, thank you so much for inviting me on one of these hosted trips. I cannot wait to go and put together a show and share it with our listeners. Folks, again, if you want to book one of these fantastic bass fishing trips, whether it's peacock bass in the Amazon or huge Florida strain largemouth bass in Mexico, the website is the same, anglersin.com. That's anglersin.com. And if you want to follow Mike Whitlow on Facebook, he's your host. He will help you put together one of these trips. That's WHITLOW. That's Mike Whitlow. Look for him on Facebook. And again, anglersin.com. Mike, Billy, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for the upcoming opportunity.
You're welcome, John. We're looking forward to make you black and blue and make those fingers raw, buddy.
John, you have no idea what you're in for when you go down to Mexico with me. We're going to put you on a trip of a lifetime and probably the biggest bass of your life.
I cannot wait. Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Hey, how'd the meeting go with Tommy's school counselor today?
Well, not exactly as planned. I think we need help.
Help? Why do we need help?
Well, I asked her about paying for college, and she said that's not something they do.
Maybe it is time to get some help. Even if Tommy just goes to state college, it's going to cost at least $25,000 a year. We'll have to rate our retirement, pay for Tommy's tuition. There's got to be a better way.
There is a better way. A way where you can pay less for college, or even receive college tuition free, regardless of your income or your student's grades. A way for you to keep your hard-earned income and savings for your future and spend less on college. while virtually eliminating the need for student loans. Get the facts about college admissions and tuition by going to tuitionprograms.org. That's tuitionprograms.org. tuitionprograms.org. Get the facts about college admissions and tuition by going to tuitionprograms.org.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, it is our Independence Day weekend. That means a lot of you are going to be on the back patio grilling up some great food, and we thought we'd give you a hand with a little bit of advice today. We got Brooks Hansen on the line. He's the PR manager for Camp Chef, a sponsor of our show. Brooks, great to have you back on the air.
Hey, it's good to be here, John. It's 4th of July is right around the corner and one of my favorite holidays. So this is epic timing and a perfect time to come on and talk.
Absolutely. So I know you are a student of all things grilling. Question for you, if you know, what is the most popular meat grilled in America this weekend? Is it just the good old hamburger or is it something else?
So I don't have that data in front of me, so I'm going to speak from the doctrine of Brooks, but I'm going to assume that it's burgers and dogs.
I think you're probably right.
I think burgers, hot dogs, bratwurst, something you're going to throw on a grill is probably the most popular meat. But I think it's followed by a close second with steak, and then you got ribs, pulled pork, and brisket in there as well.
Well, I know I've got some ribs that are going out on the Camp Chef grill right after we get finished with this conversation, because this is a great weekend to celebrate great food. But I need a little advice here, because I go back and forth on this issue. I hear so many conflicting things. Let's talk about seasonings. Let's talk about rubs. Let's talk about barbecue sauces and marinade. And we'll start off with the seasonings and rubs. What's the right way to do it with the meat that you're cooking? I know you shouldn't put it on right before you throw it on the grill. Why? Well, why don't you explain why that is and when you should put that rub and seasoning on?
Well, I think there's all kinds of methods, and everybody kind of has their way that they like. And the cool thing about grilling is you can make it your own, and you can experiment and try and see what works best for you. There's some people that are just salt and pepper and then smoke it, or salt and pepper and grill it. There's some people that want to go really elaborate with a special dry rub or seasoning that's one of their favorites, maybe something more with a mesquite flavor or applewood flavor, something that they want to, spend a little more time. And then there's a method where, like you said, you might not season it right before you throw it on the grill. You might take, say, ribs, which is could be a tougher meat, which is what you're going to do low and slow to get it soft, and that meat's a little harder to penetrate with the seasoning, and so people may want to season that the night before, wrap it in some plastic wrap, and let that seasoning adhere to it. I've done it multiple ways, and I don't know if there's a huge difference that I can tell on a ribs that I've seasoned the night before or ribs that I've done an hour before I throw them on the grill. It's really a personal preference and how much work you want to put into it, but the cool thing is once you have your grill, you kind of get to make it your own and find out what works best for you. So I hope that answers your question.
It helps. It helps. It certainly dispels some myths that I've heard before. Same question when it comes to using barbecue sauce as a marinade. I've heard that if you put it on either as you're cooking or right before you cook it, it actually has an unintended effect of basically caramelizing and not being so good in terms of the taste with the meat.
Well, I think you've probably heard of the fact of glazing ribs or glazing meat. And usually a barbecue sauce has a sugar content, and that sugar content is what's going to glaze, and it's going to set up as you cook. And it depends on what temperature you're cooking at. If it's something high and fast, like you got a steak on there and you want to throw some barbecue sauce or any type of marinade or sauce on it, and you're going to cook at high heat, it could tend to do what you said, caramelize really fast and get a burnt flavor. But if you're doing something low and slow like ribs, I like to do what they call a 3-2-1 method, where I go 3 hours on the smoker, and then the next 2 hours I glaze them and I put a barbecue sauce, and then I wrap them and I put a little bit of liquid, whether it be an apple juice or just simple water, just a little bit in the foil with them, just to help braise them. And then you've got that sauce, which is another liquid, depending if it's a thicker sauce or more of a runny sauce, that's going to help, soften up the ribs. And then so you got the 3 hours smoke, 2 hours, you're still on the smoker, but you're wrapped and you've got liquid on there. Then your last hour, you open it up and then you let and put one more little glaze of barbecue sauce on there, whatever sauce you're using, and let that smoke kind of dry and glaze and caramelize on top of those ribs. And that's been probably my go-to method.
Oh, so Brooks, that sounds delicious. You know, I've been trying to go on a diet. You are not helping me at all.
Hey, meat is a healthy diet.
There we go. Just need to go completely paleo and I'll be okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about one other thing, the pros and cons of grilling naked. I'm not, folks, talking about sitting outside my back patio with no clothes on. I'm talking about grilling with no marinade, no rubs. Is this a good way to go?
Well, I mean, it depends. It comes down to that personal preference. I think there's some people that really want to experience the true flavor of the meat that they're grilling, whether it be a chicken breast or whether it be a piece of red meat. I personally think by adding salt and pepper is going to help draw the flavor of that out. So I like a little seasoning, a little flavor to it. But, yeah, there's definitely people that really like to do, like you refer to as the naked grilling. They just want to really experience the true flavor of the meat. Me personally, I like a little seasoning on there and maybe draw that out.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm the same way. And folks, no matter how you like to grill your burgers, your steaks, your ribs, you know, you need to use Camp Chef products if you're going to do it. Whether you're using a grill, whether you're using a pellet grill, whether you're using a smoker, it all tastes fantastic when it comes to Camp Chef products. And you can find them all over the place in North America. They're in stores just about everywhere these days, including the big box stores like Sportsman's Warehouse, Cabela's, and Bass Pro. And you can always find them online and check out their entire lineup at their website at campchef.com. That's campchef.com for Camp Chef products, and they have all sorts of great recipes you'll find there, too, to help you out not only on Independence Day weekend, but anytime you want to grill some great food. Brooks, it is always a pleasure, sir, to have you on America Outdoors Radio.
John, it's awesome to come on the show and talk grilling, and we appreciate all that you do, and thanks for having me on.
Now, if you're going to be cooking this Independence Day weekend, you're going to need a sharp knife to prepare that meal, and that's where WorkSharp comes to the rescue. WorkSharp tools have not one, but two culinary knife sharpeners available for you. The WorkSharp E5 kitchen knife sharpener is the premier WorkSharp kitchen knife sharpener, offering custom angles, 3 sharpening modes, and a counter-friendly design. There's also the E2 kitchen knife sharpener. This is the one you'll find on my kitchen counter. With 1 sharpening speed and 1 angle guide, the E2 is the simplest way to get that knife sharp. The WorkSharp E2 kitchen knife sharpener is the most affordable and effective electric knife sharpener on the market, with a price of less than $50. And on top of that, it's gentle on knives, sharpens in less than a minute, and easy to use. Look for a culinary knife sharpener from WorkSharp at quality sporting goods, hardware, or department stores near you, or shop online anytime at WorkSharpTools.com. As we wrap things up, I've got to let you know I am heading to Alaska. I missed out last year and can't wait to go again this year to Alaska's best lodge. That would be Sportsman's Cove Lodge on Prince of Wales Island in southeast Alaska. They're a sponsor of our show, and last time I was there in July of 2019, which literally seems like a lifetime ago now, my daughter caught the biggest salmon caught at the lodge that season, a stout 37.5-pound Chinook. They've got great fishing around here for not only salmon, but also for halibut and lingcod and true cod and a whole bunch more. And when you come back from your day of fishing, you're going to be able to settle into your comfortable, clean accommodations in a waterfront lodge and cabins. There's delicious, I mean delicious meals featuring fresh Alaskan fare. The boats you fish out of, they are very spacious. You can get out of the weather if you need to, and you'll be fishing with the same captain, deckhand, and guests every day of your trip, which personally I love. I also love the fly-in to Sportsman's Cove Lodge on the float plane and the absolutely over-the-top customer service that is found here. They actually have a staff-to-customer ratio that is better than 1-to-1. I'll challenge you to find that anywhere. On top of this, we've got an extra night in Ketchikan I'm looking forward to, so I can explore this waterfront town some more and put it all together. And I am ready for my first big post-COVID trip with my daughter. If you want to find out more about Sportsman's Cove Lodge and booking a trip for next summer, just log on to alaskasbestlodge.com. Oh, and don't worry, we'll be telling you more about this on our show, but since we will be there for the majority of this coming week, you're going to be hearing a best of edition next weekend featuring some of the very best interviews we've recorded for America Outdoors Radio. We've got to go because I've got to pack to head north to Alaska. So until next time, here's hoping you are blessed, that you're healthy, and that you're able to spend a little bit of time either on the water or in the woods in the days ahead. After all, it is your country and you're outdoors, so get out there and enjoy it.